everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Total Woman Wellness Show. I am your host, Delayna K. Watkins, and we have another amazing show lined up for you here today. We're going to be talking with a youth entrepreneur by the name of Gabrielle Jordan, who is just spectacular. I cannot wait to talk to her and bring her on to today's episode. But before I do, there is, of course, so much excitement that I'm always sharing with you. I got to get your excitement going as well about the things happening in my world and that will ultimately spill over into your world as a total woman. Now, there is so much for us to recognize and celebrate in the month of May. The first is, of course, Mother's Day, which is coming up this Sunday. The spectacular thing about that is it kicks off another great celebration, and that is National Women's Health Week. So for Mother's Day, let me just say to all the mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. Even if you aren't a mom, you're in a role of being that mom figure to someone, happy Mother's Day to you because you are filling those shoes. I also want to share that I participated in this past Sunday for a motherless daughter brunch, which was very, very moving, very touching, very eye-opening. I had the opportunity to participate with the organization that I'm a part of called the Cheryl L. Randall Breast Health Ambassadors, and the founder, Latoya Felder, is motherless. And this was something that she did for the first time, her first annual, and I participated. Although I'm not a motherless daughter, I felt that I wanted to participate because I have a lot to share. Again, being in the arena of healthcare, you are able to take care of people and talk with those individuals who may have recently became motherless. And so it was my opportunity to talk, share, give back, and hopefully help them to move along in their journey during this time as we approach Mother's Day. So it was a very small and intimate celebration, a brunch, and the women were just amazing. And some of them really did have an opportunity to open up and share because they had not done so in quite a while. So I wanted to just say thank you to Latoya and Latanya, the other team members, who also did their part and made this event very special for the women that were in attendance. So, again, that was the Motherless Daughter Brunch on this past Sunday. We went to the Rusty Scupper here at the Inner Harbor, and it was just, everything was beautiful. Not only was the event beautiful, not only was the brunch and the entertainment, the ambiance beautiful, the weather was just perfect here in our area in Maryland on that day. I think it was the first day that we had stayed in the 70s and probably only almost reached 80 degrees that day. So it was just a perfect backdrop to the afternoon. So having said that, again, I just want to say happy Mother's Day to all of my listeners out there for this coming Sunday as you enjoy yourself on Mother's Day and embrace and celebrate your moms as well. Now, as I said, that day on Mother's Day kicks off another area that I'm, of course, overly passionate about, and that is wellness. So it kicks off National Women's Health and Wellness Week. And so on Wednesday, May 13th, I will be doing an evening of wellness with Delayna. So on this day, we are going to have an intimate circle of wellness. That's right, ladies. It's going to be very intimate. You will have the opportunity to show me whatever you want to show me, demonstrate whatever you want to demonstrate. Yes, I'll be looking at body parts if that's what you want to show me. I mean, I get people that pull me off to the side and say, look at this. What do you think this is? What can I do about this? How can I work this? How can I make this tighter? How can I do this? How can I lose this? So we're going to be having that let your hair down, kick off your shoes, circle of wellness discussion on May 13th. Then we're also going to have the high heels and healthy meals where our one of our hosts, Jesse, you how to transform your current meals that you're cooking into healthier options. And then lastly, we're going to do a segment called Move, Groove, and Move. And I don't even have to tell you the name in and of itself should just tell you that we're going to have an absolute fabulous time moving and grooving. So that's what we're going to do on May 13th. It's going to be held at Signature Blue, the new location in Lanham. You can find out more information, and you can also get in at a discount by using the code WEE, and that stands for Women's Entrepreneur Expo. That's right. I am extending that particular discount from Joan Henry's event to my listeners out there. So go to eveningofwellness.eventbrite.com. So thank you so much for that. And again, as I always say, if you can attend, there may be a woman in your circle who could very well take advantage of what's being offered. So anything that I've shared with you, always make sure that if it's not something that you share with the other women in your circle. So I'm going to get ready to segue into bringing our guest, Ms. Gabrielle, onto the show as I leave you with this last celebration for May and a quote. And it is Happy Nurses Week, which kicks off today, May 6th through the 12th. And my first experience of a nurse was with my mom, Sandra Marlowe Queen, and I just remember her being so selfless in her role as a nurse. And as we celebrate Nurses Week, I want to recognize her for being a role model in my life and ultimately helping me shape the path that I would walk into at such a young age. At 15 and a half, going on 16, I started my nursing career, and at the age of 17, I graduated both high school and nursing school as a licensed practical nurse. And I look back at that, and yes, it was very difficult. It was me sacrificing a lot of what some of my teenager peers were doing at the time so that I could study both my high school studies as well as my nursing studies. And so that's a segue into such a great thing for us to bring on to the show, Gabrielle, because she'll talk about that as being a young entrepreneur, some of the sacrifices that you do have to make, when you know that there's a goal that you have. And so I'm going to leave you with this quote, and that is, as a nurse, we have the opportunity to heal the heart, mind, soul, and body of our patients, their families, and ourselves. They may not remember your name, but they will never forget the way you made them feel. And that's by the late, great Maya Angelou that she quoted about nurses. So, okay, enough about that, enough about our celebrations for the month of May. We have some excitement to start talking about with our guest, Gabrielle. Okay, so she has made a great deal of accomplishment, yet she knows that those accomplishments are only the beginning of her quest to leave a global impact in business, motivational speaking, and publishing. She has a list of recognitions under her belt, including but not limited to being the youngest member of the Great Black Speakers Bureau, as well as receiving awards for being the Young Entrepreneur of the Year from Stiletto Women in Business and Alive magazine. Gabrielle, this young lady is creating tidal waves for her creativity and thought-provoking messages. Most recently, she was selected for the first ever 2014 McDonald's 365 Black Community Choice Youth Award, and then just not even a month or so ago, the 2015 MAD, Making a Difference Girl, where she was recognized by our beautiful First Lady, Michelle Obama, during the Black Girls Rock Award show. Now, Gabrielle is 15 now, but she started this journey at the age of 9. She's the owner of Jewels of Jordan, which is an upscale jewelry business, and she also wrote a book as well at the age of 9. I think I met her somewhere between the age of 9 and 10, and I can't believe she's 15 now. I call myself her virtual mom. She's my virtual daughter because that's where I met her virtually. But her book, The Making of a Young Entrepreneur, A Kid's Guide to Developing the Mindset for Success. And that was the book that launched her platform. And I'm going to have her come on to the show and share some of these other good things that she has on her bio so that I don't give it away. So hi, Gabrielle, Miss Busy. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule.
Of course. Hi, and thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. You know, I think I met you somewhere around 10. I believe you were 9 or 10 or 9 going on 10 somewhere. I don't know. But I know that you are amazing. You are amazing. And
thank you.
To have you on the show today. And I did. I think I met you when you were creating your beautiful pieces with Jewels of Jordan, and I know that I bought jewelry from you, and at that time I had no idea that was going to be the platform that would catapult you into just being an amazing, amazing youth entrepreneur, and such a great role model for a lot of the youth out there today. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Now, I gave a little bit of it away when I said that, your platform was the Jewels of Jordan, but I want you to tell us in your own words how you really became passionate about your mission for empowering the youth and giving them a glimpse of what entrepreneurship looks like. Tell us how you really kind of blossomed into that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, as you said, I started my jewelry business at 9. But even before that, I had such a passion for jewelry. I've loved jewelry for as long as I can remember. And at around 7 years old, I actually decided to teach myself how to make jewelry using YouTube and magazines and things like that. And that's really where my passion for, being independent and having my own business, even though I didn't know what business was yet, having my own independence where it started from there. And so later on, I started selling my jewelry at school because my friends would buy them from me as I wore them to school. And when I told my parents about that, they told me about entrepreneurship, and they told me about how I had 5 generations of entrepreneurs in my family. And if I became an entrepreneur, I'd be the 6th generation. And that's what kind of grew my passion for entrepreneurship. I wanted to kind of continue that legacy. And so after I started my business at 9 years old, at around 11 years old is when I wrote my first book, The Making of a Young Entrepreneur. By the way, I'm working on 2 more books for this year as well, and or next year. So when I wrote my first book at 11 years old, and people really loved it, and people, they were buying it and asking questions and then asking me to speak. And even though I was not someone that really wanted to speak, I was very shy when I was younger, much of an introvert, I still decided to speak, and that's really where the passion grew for promoting young entrepreneurship and promoting what my message is, and that is making sure young people have the independence and the knowledge that they can do whatever they want to do, and entrepreneurship is an option. So that's really where this whole thing really came from. It all started with just a jewelry business, and I never expected to even become an author or a speaker or be a mentor, but that's what happened just from learning how to make jewelry and taking that initiative.
You know what, Gabrielle? You are, and I say this, and I'll probably say it 5 more times, if not 25 more times throughout the show. You are amazing. It is so, just listening to you, number one, you said a couple of different things. You talked about the legacy. That's an important piece, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. The other piece that you talked about was just doing something that interests you and that you enjoy doing, which was making jewelry. You taught yourself. You knew that you enjoyed doing it, so you started at 7, just stringing jewels together and saying, okay, let me YouTube this. You didn't wait for somebody to say, do you want me to sign you up for a jewelry making class, or do I need to go to school and talk to my teacher about, changing my art class?
And I knew that I knew I could make this jewelry. I knew I could teach myself. I didn't have to sign up for anything like that. I knew I was able to do that.
Exactly. So you didn't wait, and that was the point that I was trying to make. You didn't wait for the opportunity. You didn't wait for someone else to give you what you needed. You went in search of what you knew that you could do, what you knew that interests you, and you created it on your own. So if that is a message for everyone out there listening, not only for yourself as individuals, but also for your children, create those opportunities. Listen to and watch and see what they're doing to see what skill sets or creativity or interest that they have, and then give them the tools that they need to expand upon that. So that's exactly what you did, and I'm so proud of you. And you didn't even know at the time that it flourished into, like you said, you didn't even know what an entrepreneur was. You didn't even know.
Exactly. I didn't even know.
Generation.
Exactly. And I mean, and what you just said actually before, making sure that parents do that for their kids, is exactly what my parents did for me. They watched me as I was making jewelry, and they listened to me as I told them that I was selling my products, I was selling it at school, and they weren't, they weren't telling me, oh, this is not a good business, this is not a good idea, you should try and, just stay focused in school. They encouraged it, and they made sure, okay, she's ready for this. She's doing this on her own, and she's ready to take on something as big as a business.
Right. And, that's something that I had to learn, to be honest with you, because my daughter was one who liked to, she was very artistic, and she liked to draw. And she didn't realize something that she was good at, and neither did I. I just thought, okay, she's really good at art. She's doing it in the art class, and, you're going to get an A on that. That's good, and that's all you need to do is do it and do a good job for art class. But I think that, any parent out there who's listening to today's show should really, kind of not only pay attention to what your children are interested in, but really what they're good at. Because sometimes they may be interested in it, but they may not necessarily be at the point where they're good at it yet, because we have to get the tools to become excellent. So that's the other piece of it. So even if they're interested, nurture their interest in whatever it is that they're, showing you that they find to be interesting, or to, that it brings a smile to their face, because then we as parents can say, oh, you like that, I think you would be good at that, let's get you classes, or let's, hone in on that, or do whatever we need to do to make you, become great at that particular thing. So I applaud both of your parents, both of whom I know, your dad, Ron, and your mom, Marcella, for being very astute at, honing in on that, because I know that as parents, we're so busy, making sure that we provide and that we're doing all the right things to make, to bring up our kids, eat, clothe, and feed you are, are using some of the overarching things that we're worried about. But you guys are so much more than that, as children, and being able to hone in on that and to do right by that as a parent. And there's another thing that you said, one more thing before I move on to the next part of it, is that you're in the process of formulating and writing 2 more books. Now, Missy, I got to tell you, I am beyond super proud of you, because I am in the midst of trying to finish just one and wanting to pull out every little strand of my hair with doing this book. Where does your motivation come from when you're writing a book? Do you have like a certain particular thing that you do? Do you just hone in on an idea and just say, okay, this is what I want to convey in this book, and then kind of sit down and really focus your attention on doing that particular thing?
Yeah, that's really how I had to write my book, and I'm still working on the first one, because my first book is kind of, I had to do other things in order to get the book done. But when it comes to as I said, I have 2 books I want to write, and so it's hard, to have that focus when you're like, oh, this is a good idea for this book, and this is a good idea for this book. Oh my gosh, okay, and all those different things and ideas are running through your head. So really, what I have to do is be like, okay, I am only focusing on this book. This is the book I want to get up earlier. This is the book I want to get out now. So I need to focus on this one. And that's really what it takes. And anything I have a note, anytime I have a note, I always bring my phone, like, oh, note to self, this is a good thing for my book, or anything like that. And taking that chance to learn from any opportunity and things like that. So when writing a book, it gives me another outlet of being creative, but also being able to manage being disciplined and focused, because those are all things that I need to work on. So a book is a really good project, because it allows you to work on different things that are attributes that you need as an entrepreneur. And so that's really what I have to do as someone writing 2 books. I have to really just kind of be focused and be disciplined enough to get the book done when I want to get it done.
Gabrielle, let me just tell you, you just gave me a lesson. You just gave me a snap lesson on, okay, I really should have directed that question to you about me, and then you should have just said, okay, Miss Delayna, this is what you need to do for your creativity. No, honestly, because everything that you just said was absolutely right on, and it's so me right now at the point where I am, because I'm in the midst of trying to do 2 writing projects, and I can't seem to stay focused on one, and I keep doing these little note to self kind of things, like this is a great idea for this book, or should I put in this book, but I need to get this book out now. And my virtual assistant, Miss Stacy Virgo, will tell you she is trying her best to keep me on task for the book at hand, and I keep wanting to resist and get off topic, or, kind of work on what I'm doing right now, sort of like do a brain dump. Like I need to dump all these ideas. But you're absolutely right. The creativity, the creative side of your brain wants to keep going, and there's so much that that you have to share that you want to get it out there and share with the individuals that need what you have to say, or what it is that can shift or change the people that you want.
Right. And as you were saying that, actually, something popped in my head, because another thing that's so important, especially if you have all these ideas, is that you don't rush certain things, because like one of the books that I'm working on is I know it can be something really great, but if I don't rush it, it'd probably become even better. And so it's like I have to take that mental note to myself and say, okay, I need to take the time for this book, and even though I really want to get this out, I know if I take the time and do the research that has.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. Right, exactly. I agree 100%. Boy, you just gave me a lesson on creativity, and don't rush. You can't rush greatness, right? So I'll just be taking my time and not rush greatness. All right, we have reached our first commercial break. So what I want to do is we do physically fit segments. So for the first physically fit commercial break, it's going to be, and this is today's physically fit commercial segment break. Let me just give you a little side note here. It's going to be for those individuals who are either working from home or working in your office. I get a lot of requests for some of the exercises to be for those working, in an office environment. So today's physically fit commercial breaks are for those individuals, although everyone can do them, but it's more specifically for them, because they're like, we can't do jumping jacks at our desk, and we can't, be jumping around like fools for some of the exercises that you have, during your commercial break. So could I do some things that they could do at their desk? So today, both of today's physically fit commercial breaks will be geared towards you, the individual who is listening to me at lunch, at work, or even at home if you're working out of your home office. So to the first physically fit commercial break is going to be chair abs, and what you're going to do 10 reps times 2. So what you do with that is you sit on the edge of your chair and you bring your knees up towards your chest. So sit on the edge of your chair and just bring your legs, your knees up to your chest. Do that 10 reps. So it's going to be a total of 20 times, okay? And I'll see you back on the other side of the commercial break as we finish our lovely and lively discussion with Gabrielle Jordan.
Hey, Chef Jovi here of the Eatsperience Radio Show. Join me 10 a.m. every Thursday to explore recipes, best restaurants, and food spots in and around the country. I look forward to receiving your comments, so follow us on Spreaker.com to tune into the show. That's SPREAKER.com. And search MWHY Radio to join me every Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Eatsperience Radio Show. And remember to share your Eatsperience.
If you're the parent of a child with behavioral challenges that has been suspended, expelled, or just not able to make it in a traditional school setting, there is an alternative. Call the Metropolitan Day School today. Licensed and accredited grades K through 12. Call 804-321-2595. Financial assistance and after-school programs are available. Let's turn this school year around right now at the Metropolitan Day School, where Eagles soar. Call Ms. Thomas today. 804-321-2595.
Hello, I'm Sherelle of Fit and Flow Yoga Radio. Wake up with me every Friday at 6 a.m. and have a wonderful yoga experience. We'll explore meditation and discuss how various yoga postures can help relieve your everyday stress. We'll also make the connection between our faith and wellness. Follow us on Spreaker.com to tune into the show. That's Spreaker, SPREAKER.com. And also search MWHY Radio to join me every Friday at 6 a.m. for Fit and Flow Yoga Radio with Sherelle. And until next time, surrender to your strength and always embrace your flow.
Hi, this is Capri Smith of the Uncuffed Radio Show. Join me every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to learn how you can grow in your business, personal environment, and reach your true potential by uncuffing what is binding you, only on the Maybe Help You Radio Network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to today's episode of the Total Woman Wellness Show. If you are just joining us, we are talking with our special guest, Miss Gabrielle Jordan. If you're listening live and you have a question or want to share a comment, you can just press the number 1. It's like raising your hand. If you're listening to us live online and you want to call into the studio, the number is 646-652-2512. And I hope those of you who are just finishing up with the Physically Fit commercial break that you all can feel that ab work. That's your chair ab work. So make sure you incorporate that throughout your day as you're sitting, because it is very beneficial not only to your abdominal area, but to get your creativity flowing and keep your blood flowing, especially to the lower part, because you are sitting in a dependent position when you are at work. So thank you again for participating in the Physically Fit commercial break. So as we have been talking with Miss Gabrielle Jordan, she is schooling even me as the host. Picture that. She's like telling me about what she's doing and all the different things and how she created, just getting on her journey, and is just continuing to blossom even at 15. And she started this journey somewhere around 7, I think, really. You know, she really started to come on the scene 9, but I think somewhere around 7, she knew what she wanted to do and set out and set her sails to do it. So, Miss Gabrielle, what is the underlying message that you share when you're out speaking to your peers?
So there are 3 things that I love to share when it comes to speaking to peers and even to adults. 3 things are leadership, entrepreneurship, and one of the ones that I've been developing now, and one of the ones that I'm really excited to continue to talk about, is developing your unique value.
Ooh, I love that. Now, when you talk about developing your unique value, that is where the work comes in.
Exactly.
Because that is, yes, what you do with that is you have to go inside, and that's where a lot of people resist because it's easy to talk about and to kind of know, but that right there requires work, Gabrielle, and you know that sometimes people don't want to go inside and really do the work. So I like the fact that you're incorporating that in the underlying message, and here's why, especially with our youth. I know for me, again, if I had and I shared at the beginning of the show that I had the fortunate situation of having my mom really kind of impress upon me, you know, about a nurse and kind of being selfless, and I was able to kind of go down that path. But here's the truth of the matter. I don't know that if I were asked to really dig deeper into what Delayna wanted, if that would have been the path that I would have explored. It was just that it was what I was exposed to. I don't know that, you know, at that time when you're, you know, your age, when you're around 7, 8, 9, 10, when you're starting to understand what the world has to offer, who you are as a person, that if I had done that deep dive kind of work that you're talking about, that I would have chosen something different maybe.
Right.
But I never did that. I went off of what I was exposed to superficially by my mom. And so I saw that it made her happy and that it was, changing the community and impacting people. And so it must be good. And so I decided to do that. But, as an adult, I don't know that I would have chosen that if I were given the opportunity early on, let's say somewhere between elementary and middle school, to really do the work and do the deep dive into what my interest is. So I'm happy that, and I think that's a good thing. Do you get a lot of feedback from people when you share that part of your message?
Oh, definitely, especially one recently that I did was, really great because as I was developing this message, because it's something that I'm working on now, and I'm actually one of my books that I'm writing is going to be about developing your unique value, it. So I'm really developing this message that is really strong. And once recently I shared this message, and someone came up to me and she was like, it felt like you were talking directly to me because this is something that I really needed to hear, and this is something that I've been trying to work on myself. And so when I heard that, I was like, okay, this is perfect because this is something that so many people need to hear, and this is something that so many people don't even really know about, really knowing who they are and what makes them special, and then most importantly, taking and putting that into action. So I am really excited about this. I'm so excited that people are really being able to receive this message because this is something that I feel is so important.
It truly is. And again, this is coming from someone, again, who's an adult who's telling you that, yes, you speaking to our youth, that is one of the points that that I know needs to be talked about, discussed, and cultivated, that will definitely shift how they see things and how they go about their unique value. I think it is much needed, and look forward to watch, as you develop it and as you hone in and listen to the feedback that you're getting as you're starting to share it and incorporate that. I think it's going to be a game changer for sure for our youth.
Thank you.
Continue on that. Yeah, continue on that. Now, you have a special platform that you use that I want you to talk a little bit about, and that is the Excel with Gabrielle. Tell us a little bit about that and what you do with that, and really your goal with hosting the Excel with Gabrielle. I've tuned in a time or two. I haven't done it recently. I think when you very first started out, tuned in. So tell me, and I've seen it evolve, so that's why I really want you to share and talk about that. So tell me about that.
So the whole platform that I started is called the Excel Youth Mentoring Institute. That's the whole platform. And Excel stands for Excellence Created Through Entrepreneurship and Leadership. And through this platform, I have the Excel with Gabrielle, which is a weekly show that I send out, which is where every Sunday at 7 p.m., discussing topics that are important for youth, both in entrepreneurship, leadership, and everyday life. And I give them tips and how, I sometimes struggle with these things and how I'm able to overcome the challenges that I face, and I give them tips and advice. And I also have started within this institute, I've started the mastermind classes. And the Excel Youth Mastermind is where I gather a group of 9 students for a total of 6 weeks. And I'm on my second class this month, which is the April-May month, and I already did the January-February one. So it's a really great class because I'm able to really teach these students the real in-depth importance of entrepreneurship and the real in-depth teachings of entrepreneurship. Like I've been talking about financing and mindset and multiple different things that are really great for the kids to learn about. And so I'm really excited about starting this, and I've already started, so I'm really excited about continuing this because I've already had some really great feedback from last month, or the month before last, kids, so that was really great, and I'm already hearing some great things about these kids this month. So I'm really excited about the Excel Youth Mentoring Institute, and really the overall goal of this whole thing is to really teach. That's really what I want to do. I want to teach, and I want to open the eyes of kids that may not know that this is actually possible. That's what my whole passion is, my message is for why I speak, because I want to open the eyes of kids that don't know that entrepreneurship is an option, that they don't know that it is a career, that being your own boss is definitely possible. And so that's what this whole thing is about, and I'm really excited about it. I'm actually the co-founder of this Excel Youth Mentoring Institute, and my mom is a co-founder as well. We started together for my mom to be able to teach the adults or the parents, and I to teach the kids.
I like that, teamed up, because here's the thing. This is what makes it so great. So I'm always talking and writing, and first thing you said was Sunday at 7 o'clock. I like that time frame because what it does is it gives the youth a fresh perspective on the week ahead.
Exactly.
So I love that. I love Excel. So all of this is, when I say, like, it's laid out to be successful and it's laid out to be an added value, it's laid out to be a program that most definitely those youth who put in the time and put in the work see results. Because you've made it, like I said, at a time, and that I'm sure the information that you're sharing is very valuable because you're giving real life experiences. You are walking the talk. You are someone that they can relate to. Because here's the difference. If it were myself, or even if it were your mom or, your dad doing that show, that platform, they would listen and they would, say, okay, well, that's good. Because it's almost like how us as parents, we come to school for what's that, career day, and you go talk about your career and kind of thing. They listen to us and they say, oh, that's cool, and I usually get asked a bunch of really good questions and things like that. But I think the impact is made because you are a peer. You're someone that they can relate to. You're someone that they can ask questions to and know that you're getting like this century answers, for what they're asking you. Because you can relate to them on their level and not that they see me as being, I had one kid tell me, he's like, how old are you? You seem like an old biddy. And I'm like, listen here, no. But you have to look at it. In his eyes, I probably do seem like I'm like old, whatever. So, yes, I think that being able to relate to the youth, to the peers, then being able to relate to you, on their level, and to ask you questions, they feel like they're going to get real answers. So that's other.
That's
you find
really,
that's
accepted. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Now I was going to say, do you find that being an advantage when you're talking to them?
Definitely. That's like something that I've really accepted as a part of my unique value, something that I carry with me, because being a young entrepreneur, that's what these kids need to see. They need to see another young entrepreneur and talk to another young entrepreneur, because you can meet a lot of adult entrepreneurs and be like, okay, so I have to wait till I'm an adult to do that. But when you see a young person doing this, then they see that, oh, I can do this right now. And so that's really what I take with me, and I use that as a platform for teaching these young kids.
Great. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And you said exactly what I was trying to express, is that when they see me, they're like, oh, so I got to wait till I'm like your age to do whatever. And, that's how long it's going to take. Oh, never mind. Don't sign me up for that. But instead, they see you, they're able to talk to you, really relate to you and say, oh, okay, there is hope for me now. So what do you feel parents or interested adults in general can do to support our youth? So, like, there's a lot of, maybe mentoring groups out there, organizations, nonprofits that, work with youth, and they may work with them on something totally different outside of, entrepreneurship. They, may be there for mentoring for other things. But what do you feel that, parents or, other interested adults can do to support our youth around entrepreneurship and creativity?
I feel like the main thing that adults and parents, most importantly, is really to be that support. As you said, that there are the mentoring institutes around now. Mentoring people that mentor kids. And I really have to say, just to continue doing that, if you know a young person or that you're connected with that has a seed in them, like you can see that they have a seed in them, then you have to take that initiative, because you don't know if their family's not going to take that initiative. You know, be that person for them to take that initiative, and be that person for them that will be like, okay, I'm going to help you with this because I see that you have that. So, as I said before, my parents, they saw that I, you know, had a gift, and they saw that I had talent, and they took initiative into that. And that's what I have to say for other people. So if you see a young person that has a gift, that has a talent, watch them and say to them that I will help you, and I will be there to help you and to help you to grow. And even something that I really learned is my parents are tough on me because it helps, and even though I may not like it at the moment, I'll realize that it's important. So, you know, you have those good teachers. Maybe you had a good teacher for me when I was in school. I like those good teachers that would be really tough and were good. They were strict, and they were but they were nice at sometimes when you did the right things. And I may not have liked them at that time because they were so strict, but as I've grown up, going a little bit older, only a few years older than before, but as I kind of look back and kind of learn from the lessons that they shared, I realized that those are the good teachers, those are the good people in my life that actually helped me. So so just be that person that will help somebody, even if it's a minor way of just putting them with somebody else or being a mentor to them, however way you can, just to add some kind of support. And I guess an eye-opener for them as well, to be someone that they can look up to.
Right. That's so good. And I like what you shared at the end. You said that even if you can't cultivate or be that mentor, then make sure that you connect them with someone that can do that.
Exactly.
Because the funny thing is, when you said that, that's exactly what I ended up doing with my daughter. And I was laughing as you were saying that some of the things that, you know, your mom and dad told you at the time, it seemed like they're being tough on you. Sometimes that can lead to resistance depending on the child's personality. I know, with my daughter, she was just after a while, you listen to womp, 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 okay, yeah, I hear you, kind of thing. And so I found it very useful to connect her with a mentor outside of me, so that although that person is quite potentially going to tell her and share with her the same things that I did, it's coming from someone else, someone different. And so therefore they're probably saying, and I know for a fact, that they said the same message, but you're hearing it from someone outside of it being different. So absolutely.
And that's why I have mentors. I have mentors for every part of what I'm doing, for my speaking, for my business, for my philanthropy, for my mentoring, everything. And even though my mom and my dad, they share with me a lot of the things that I hear from them, from the mentors that I have, and they talk to me about lots of different things, but just having that ability to hear it from another source is what is okay, so this is true.
Right, yeah, exactly. So verify what mom and dad are saying. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. You may not even listen to your mom and dad.
I love it. All right, so we're going to take our very last Physically Fit commercial break, Gabrielle, and then when we come back, I want you to just kind of wrap it up with us and give us some memorable moments that you've experienced along your journey thus far, as well as to see what you'd like for us to do in our schools or our communities to support entrepreneurship. So we're going to talk about those two things when we come back as we round up today's show. It's been so great talking to you, and I'm sitting here doing double duty and chatting with people on Twitter and on Facebook, and everyone is truly loving the information that you're sharing. So as we go into our second commercial break, we're going to do, and again, remember, this is geared towards my working people who are in the office. You're going to turn that chair into your tool for exercising today. We're going to do chair dips. So this time you're going to go down to the edge of your chair, and this time, actually, if you're going to sit in the front of it and just do chair dips, this will work your arms, your legs, and your abs. You're going to do 10 reps times 2, so that's chair dips. 10 reps times 2. And again, if you need to see how these are done, just look on my Facebook page on Delayna K. Watkins, and there's a page there showing you a demonstration on how to do these Physically Fit commercial break exercises. And then when we come back, we're also going to get a quick tip from Miss Tiffany Mansfield. We're going to get our nutrition tips. So I'll see you back here on the other side of the commercial break.
The Queen Esther Radio Show is live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join me, Jessica Taylor,
and me, Jason Mosley, to be entertained by authors, artists, and spiritual leaders.
We look forward to being a blessing in your life every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Only on the MWHY Radio Network.
The Tanya Free and Friends Talk Show is happy to announce our partnership with the May We Help You Radio Network. You can now catch the rebroadcast of our Wednesday show every Thursday at 6 p.m. That's Tanya Free and Friends, the podcast, every Thursday evening at 6 p.m. We welcome your comments and opinions 24/7 at TanyaFree.com, Facebook and Twitter, or send me a text by texting the word Tanya, that's 72727. Tanya Free and Friends, and May We Help You Radio. Living life with a purpose.
Hi, this is Benita with Off the Vine. Join us on Fridays at 3 o'clock for Fun Talk About Wine. This season, I'm going to put this little sommelier certification to work as we expand the conversation to talk about beer and spirits too. Meet more exciting special guests, and you never know just who may show up at the studio. Off the Vine with Benita on the May We Help You Radio Network, giving you something to whine about.
Hi, my name is Letitia M., owner of May We Help You Network. I want to thank you for joining us and enjoying our host here on MWHY Radio Network. Please visit us online at mwhyradio.com and like us on facebook.com/MWHY Radio. Tune in to learn more about our hosts and upcoming contests and our TV programming that'll be coming to you soon. MWHY Radio, bringing together business, community, and you.
So, hello everyone, and welcome back to this episode of the Total Woman Wellness Show. Let me just tell you, if you are just tuning in, you have missed a magnificent show with our guest for today, Ms. Gabrielle Jordan. She is just amazing. I am loving every moment with my, as I call her, my virtual daughter, Miss Gabrielle. We have been talking about, she's even schooling me on a few things, as the host of today's show. We've been talking about our youth, the great creativity of our youth, entrepreneurship, and just ways that we as parents or interested adults can really support our youth in their creativity and cultivating that and exposing them to really what entrepreneurship is about. So before I bring Gabrielle back onto the show, if you have a question or comment, you can press 1 and the producer will know. It's like raising your hand. If you're listening to us online, you can dial 646-652-2512 as well and press the number 1 to join the discussion. But I want to bring on here quickly Miss Tiffany Mansfield because, you know, ladies, as Total Women, spring is here. It is in full effect, and Tiffany is joining us to talk about our nutrition, health as well. Hi, Miss Tiffany.
Good afternoon, ladies. I've gotten so much insight coming from our young people today. This is so encouraging.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Isn't it?
That even...
I know. She's awesome.
It's so rare for us to see young people with so much fire and passion, and I commend this young lady.
She has been sharing. I told her she's been schooling us. She's been schooling me as the host of the show. What you got to share with us today?
I wanted our total well women, who are moms especially, to consider things that we need to consume, our nutrients for our brain function. Our neurons need nutrients for optimal functionality. So one of the things I wanted to suggest today was that we put a little spin onto what we usually throw on the grill. Now that the sun's out, the weather's warmer, American classic favorites are hot dogs and hamburgers, and I wanted to offer a couple of alternatives to that. Last time I visited, we talked about going to the farmer's market, and I usually pick up fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, and I also like to try different things. And one of my favorite things to do is grill. So I began to combine every week when I do prepare my food. I pick the things that I get from the farmer's market and create new meals. Not only would I grill like my source of protein, my meat, my fish, my chicken, I'd also add to it fresh vegetables on skewers and even some fruit. So try some pineapples, some mango, peaches. Add all of that on a skewer and give it a try. Young people will love it because you've got colorful dishes, and it'll give them the brain power they need to thrive.
That is good stuff, and what a segue for today's show, because you're absolutely right. A lot of times when you add color, and yes, the hot dog and hamburger, as you said, is the American classics. They're looking for that. But if they see another alternative, especially I find that if it's colorful, it looks fun to them, even if they have no idea what it is. We'll try it at least. And if you throw on that piece of fruit, like you said, the pineapples and the mango, which are my favorite, they will indulge in it, and they will at least, and if it's on a skewer, that makes it even easier because it's, something they can hold in their hand and kind of, walk around or do whatever they're doing for their activity during the cookout or during, whatever as you're grilling to eat as well. So
it's a healthy alternative to finger food.
Absolutely. And like you said, it boosts their brain power. And since we're talking about, tapping into our young youth, their creativity, their, kind of expanding their thoughts and all of that, those types of foods will help with that as well. It, like you said, boosts their brain power.
Yes, thank you.
Give our listeners, you're welcome, thank you, and that was a timely tip you shared with us. So give us how we can get in touch with you through your Curvy Girl World website.
Absolutely. Reach me at curvygirlworld.org, email info@curvygirlworld, and on social media, I am at curvygirlworld. Please ask any questions. I'm willing to share any tips or answer any nutritional questions you may have.
Thank you so much. And just real quick, I did share where the local markets were when you were on and you talked about visiting the local farmers market. I found a list, I think later in the week, of all the ones that are here locally and the times that they're there, that they're open. So I had shared that. So hopefully the listeners were able to see that information. If not, you can go on to Delayna K. Watkins, and I also tagged Tiffany in it, so it should be on her page as well, so you can find that information about the local farmers market where you can go and get the fresh fruits that she mentioned to put on the grill. So thank you again, Ms. Tiffany Mansfield. I appreciate you for joining us on the Total Woman Wellness Show and being our nutritional correspondent. Now let's bring back on Ms. Gabrielle as she closes out our wonderful show for today. I could continue talking to her probably for another half hour, 45 minutes or so. So, Gabrielle, I want you to tell us, there's two things that I really want you to share before we close out. And the first one is there any type of program that you could think of, and I'm sure that if there's a program that you can think of, that there's one that, maybe in this area or someone listening could adopt in their local school. But is there a program that you would like to see created in our schools or in our community centers to support entrepreneurship and cultivate creativity?
Yeah, actually, there is this one program that I'm actually becoming more involved in. Because I'm not in school, I can't really join the classes. But there's a program called NEFTY, and it teaches. I think it stands for National Entrepreneurship Teaching Network, something like that. And I can't quite remember the acronym, but it's such a great program because they have them in multiple different schools around Maryland and I believe in the country. I know they have one in Bowie High School and Suitland and many other places, many other high schools. And so this organization I'm really happy about and I'm really excited about because it's so great that they're teaching entrepreneurship in the schools. And it's something that I talk to a lot of people about is how important it is that they teach this kind of things in schools. Now, something that I feel is so important as well that should be in school, that should be taught, is everyday application. And when I say by everyday application is teaching things that will actually be used in real life. Like, for me, I'm not the best at math. Like, math is definitely not my best subject. And I find that...
you're definitely my school daughter. That's not my favorite subject either.
Right. But I find that when I'm able to apply it to something like finances, like if I have to do like regular financing for my company and that kind of thing, it comes easier because I'm able to apply it to something that I will do in my regular life. And so I feel like that nowadays in school is kind of in a box. Everything is learned on the same level, and everything is learning for a test instead of learning for the real world. And that is something that I know it'll probably take a while for it to get to the way of learning for the real world, but it's something that needs to start being developed because kids. I actually recently watched this video about people were asking kids in college about the basic financial things that you should know as an adult. And these kids, they did not know anything about it. Some of the people were in business classes, and they had no idea what these things were. And it's kind of crazy to me because this is stuff that you need to know on an everyday basis or on a regular basis. And if you don't know those things, then that's something that you need to be taught. And so I feel like that is something that needs to really be worked on in school, but just that everyday application, applying those things, learning things that you will have to apply in your life.
That's very profound, and you're absolutely right. I do believe, and even, myself being a product of, public education, and regardless of really if it's public or private, my children were, and they both, kind of like you say, missed that whole everyday application because I had to then teach them and show them how to write a check, balance a checkbook, and like you said, everyday application stuff that you would think that your education would have prepared you for, but instead they teach you to test and not teach you for success in the real world. And so you're absolutely right. Yeah. So I would like to see a program. Now, can you tell me what the acronyms were? I was trying to write it down for that program. Is it NEFT?
It's NEFT, and it's Network for Teaching Entrepreneurs. So NFTE, NEFTE.
STE, got it, NSTE. Okay, I just want to make sure I have it down right. And for anything out there.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Gabrielle. And then lastly, to close us out, you know that I was going to ask you this, but I want you to share a memorable moment that you've experienced along your journey thus far, because, of course, it's only the beginning for you, and I know this journey that's going to continue to evolve and take you places. So far, what's a memorable moment that you've experienced?
I have had so many wonderful moments as an entrepreneur, but I think the most memorable moment, as you actually briefly discussed in my bio, as you were talking about me in the beginning, was when I was honored as the 2015 Mad Girl, Making a Difference Black Girls Rock, and being honored by the First Lady, Miss Michelle Obama, on the stage. And
yay!
That was so crazy. I mean, I keep going back to that day, just being like, did that really happen? I mean, it was so amazing just being there. And then, like, as we were there in New York, like, the next day, we were getting ready to head out, and we were looking around, and my dad, and then also a few people on Facebook sent us that the article was on, like, front page of Yahoo News and a few other places. And we looked there, we're like, oh my gosh, my picture's there. And it was so crazy.
I know, when I saw that was so cool. It was like the ink wasn't even dry yet, but you weren't even back in Maryland yet, and you were already making the news. That was just awesome.
Exactly. And things have been just going, like, really crazy, like, busy now, and I'm pretty excited about that. But one thing I just want to I want to say one thing, just like as a closing out, as in like a final statement that's so important. As I was saying, things have been gotten really busy ever since the Black Girls Rock event. And one thing that I have been trying to work on for myself is kind of balancing being a young entrepreneur and also being a kid, because what I don't want to end up doing is wearing myself out and wondering why in the world did I start this business a few years later, and that's what I want to do. And so for me, I make sure that I'm hanging around with my friends often, but I also balance, I can't be with my friends every day because I have goals I want to achieve. I have a business that I want to become successful, so I have to balance being a kid and being an entrepreneur. So knowing, okay, today I am working on this, that, and the other, and on the weekend I will hang out and go to the movies with my friends. That's how I work, and so that I don't stress myself, so I don't go crazy, and so I don't get too overwhelmed.
Right, exactly. That's so important, and I'm so glad that you brought that up and that we are bringing that into perspective as part of the show as well. I know all the other stuff that we talked about with the cultivating creativity and the entrepreneurship, and I even talked about in the early part of the show about, because that is important, when I had to try and balance my high school studies with, trying to be a nurse all at the same time, all together dually. There were times on the weekend when I would just hide the books under my pillow and say, you know what, I'm not studying for that test right now. I want to go to the movies, or I want to go hang out. I want to be, a teenager. And so I can totally relate to that. And I thank you for sharing that, because that was not something that I touched on throughout the earlier part of the show. So thank you for bringing that up and sharing that you do, in fact, have a life outside of, being an entrepreneur. So tell us how we can get in touch with you. I know I follow you all over social media, and I'm sure those individuals that are listening want to stay connected with you as well.
Yeah, so first of all, my website is GabrielleJordanInspires.com. So that's just my name, Gabrielle Jordan, and Inspires.com. And you can also reach my jewelry at jewelsofjordan.com, and jewels is spelled with Z, so JEWELZ of Jordan.com. My social media, I have a Twitter account, which is Gabrielle. Sorry, there's a little bit noise in the background. My Twitter account is Gabrielle Jordan, INTL, and you can also follow me on Instagram at Gabrielle Jordan Inspires, and Jules of Jordan as well for Instagram, and Facebook saying Gabrielle Jordan Inspires, and and Facebook Jules of Jordan. So Facebook, Gabrielle Jordan Inspires and Jules of Jordan. Instagram, Gabrielle Jordan Inspires and Jules of Jordan. And Twitter, Gabrielle INTL.
Every last one of them, because you're amazing. Thank you, and I appreciate you taking time to be on today's Total Woman Wellness Show. It has been my pleasure. You are, as you know, one of my favorite people, and keep soaring, keep being a positive inspiration for our youth. And I will talk with you, I'm sure, again soon, or at least see you on some platform soon. So this has been, thank you. So next week on the Total Woman Wellness Show, we will have S. Monique Smith-Person. She is known as, I don't know, the missing person. Yeah, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about her push with getting national attention to missing persons and sex trafficking and all of those great things that she is involved with next week on the Total Woman Wellness Show. I am your host, Delayna K. Watkins, and make sure that you enjoy Mother's Day this coming Sunday. Celebrate a nurse. If you know one, come and contact one, or if you need one, because we call the shots. And I'll see you here next week on the Total Woman Wellness Show. Have a healthy week. Mm-hmm.